Wisdom team together, the trio, and we're here live at our Get Resource, a relational wisdom live stream every Friday at 12 p.m. Mountain. We are here with you today to talk about relationships done differently. And before we dive into that juicy topic, we love to check in with what's alive in you. And Naomi, we love to ask you, what's alive in you today?
Take a minute to breathe in and do an inward check. I have excitement in me for this conversation, not because I know how it's going to go or how it's all going to, what we're all going to talk about, but I know that when I get together with both of you, the conversation is always so life-giving and uplifting and even revealing. So I feel that sense of like, oh, what's going to happen today? Because I know it's always uplifting to my body. It feels good to talk about those kinds of things. There's about like little 10% bit of nervousness. I don't do this as often as you two do. So there's just that sense of newness, but also a calmness and a joy underneath it just to be here with you both. Summer, what about you today?
I'm actually feeling really emotional as you speak. I just have such an affection and a profound sense of gratitude for the space that you hold. For our students, for me personally, professionally, it feels like such a relief to me. I know a lot of people have professional and personal lives, and mine are combined. I don't have to fracture or splinter myself in any way, and you're a big part of that. And so, as I see the three of us, I'm just feeling like in a row like this. I'm just feeling whole in myself, knowing that I don't have to be by myself. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling in this moment. Dre, what's alive in you today?
I love how it's just being passed on right now. So
Yeah.
I'm just like inspired with both your shares and realizing the gift and going last, because if I were to have gone first, what I've shared might have been different than what I'm sharing now. And what's landing in me right now is a sense of appreciation for how far we've gone together now that we're here, right? And chatting together about this topic. And yeah, just gratitude towards the work I get to do. And there's a sense of safety that I find myself with you too. It's very nurturing and generative. And so I feel lucky. I feel lucky. It's not a feeling, but I feel lucky. And with that, I'm in. And hey, Sherry, great to have you be with us.
Which
Awesome.
Sherry?
Thank you.
Hey,
Sherry
hello.
Cameron.
Hello, Sherry.
Thank you. And thank you for your comment. Yes, Jesus loves us. Thank you. Yes. All the ascended masters, Buddha, Saint Germain, all of it. So today, we want to talk about relationships done differently. But before we kind of get there, I want to kind of lay the foundation, the framework of our work. And this is more of an open conversation back and forth where it feels called. So I'll just toss the question of like, who are we? What makes us different? In regards to the relational wisdom school team.
Oh man, you know what? I'd like to alter that just slightly in terms of like, well, what drew us here? Like, why are we doing relationships differently? What wasn't satisfying about what was happening before? Yeah, I want to throw that out there. And maybe I can start since there's I think the world is changing in some astronomical and exponential ways at a phenomenal new rate of learning and consciousness. I love our friend Gary Mark says love is letting others voluntarily evolve. And I think when we learn that skill, everything changes. When we let go of expectations, stories, judgments of others, we then are able to step into an authentic way of relating. We're able to start tuning into our own nervous systems and how they respond to others without trying to force someone else to be something for us that they're not capable of being. So, I mean, I grew up in a family where my parents divorced. We grew up in a very wealthy neighborhood. Oh, we lost Dre. And no one talked about, I would say, anything real. No one talked about what was alive in them. It was all very, what our typical question is, what do you do? And I always felt there was something missing. It was very confusing to me. And my whole life, I grew up going, how do people get married? How do people do that? Like, how does that work? It was always very confusing to me. So this is always a question that I came into. And having experienced a lot of conflict, confusion with my parents' divorce, not speaking to each other. My mother still does not speak to my father. I needed and wanted to find a different path that I knew was possible. And so that's how I ended up here with the two of you as the backstory. Yeah. Oh, and now Naomi's gone. What? We're playing musical chairs around here. So I'm gonna leave it at that to get your guys' backstories too, as to why you guys, like, how you guys searched this out and how we ended up here.
I could maybe pop in here. And it is interesting, Summer, that as you talk, different things come alive in me about, okay, there's the technical or thinking piece of why I'm here, but then there's the truth down underneath the surface of why I'm really here. And truthfully, I felt disconnected from something vital in me for more than half of my life, most of my life, to be honest. And I think the search underneath it all was, how do I get to acknowledge and love and be with all of me? And the problem was I was looking to systems, academic, religious, experts outside of myself, all of those things, trying to find this missing piece. But deep beneath it was this longing of, like, there is something in me to do in this life. There is something in me to give. And there is something in me to feel that I know I'm not feeling yet. And I know it has to be out there. And so much of that changed when I got the courage to leave some of the systems and strike out on a path that resonated with my heart. Like, when I followed that instinct inside, that was like, something more is out there if you'll only be willing to step into the unknown. And I just did that over and over again. And one day that unknown led me to you, which brought profound healing and deep inner connection to myself, and where I actually became acquainted with that knowing inside, that thing that knows the next step on the path for me. And I learned to start following that inner tug, or that knowing, that spark on the inside. And it's a road of twists and turns and lots of curves I didn't see coming. And then one day it led me back here in a tangible way. That this was the next step on my path to not be by myself, because there was also a side of me, a side that kept me safe from people and the way people can be, and the pain of rejection and communities that I'd lost. There was a part of me that always had to be independent, had to just safer to be by myself. And then there came a time in my life where that just wasn't good enough anymore. I just so deeply wanted to connect and be seen by other people, and link arms with other people and say, can we not build this new life together? Like, Isn't there a way, if we all have this inner knowing on the inside, can we not hold arms, believe in each other, and encourage each other to follow our knowing, and see what's created when a whole group of people can do that together rather than be by ourselves and separate and in our technical structures and academic groups and business mindsets and all those things that actually very subtly or not subtly at all disconnect us from ourselves and from each other. Like when we lean on the ideas more than we follow the inner voice. So that, in a nutshell, the disconnection in myself and the disconnection of all the things around me kept me seeking and brought me here to a place where I can truly be myself and not lose my connection to myself while I serve other people, while I make money, while I co-found a school where people can learn that. Yeah. And Dre, I'm curious because now you're last
good.
again. What's come alive in you and what brought you here?
Yeah, so much juice, just naming that I'm the only guy here and just naming it, and acknowledging that I do come in through this with a different experience from perhaps a masculine orientation, though the deep yearning is the same as you both, that if I were to fast forward towards the end, it's an acceptance and belonging piece to be myself and be with others that accept me for who I am. And it comes with a deep compassion. And so, going back into my relationships, the ones I learned how to be in relationship are with my parents. And from that point of view, being an Asian man, just naming it, uh, the framework was based on shame, was based on fear, was based on image, status, how much money I made, how proud I can make my parents be when they talk about me to their friends. And these are patterns that are embedded in me. And we call them saboteurs, right? My hyperachiever saboteur is my top one, where this maladaptive pattern will come out where I need achievements, I need status, I need to accomplish things to feel worthy. That love is based on conditions. So through my parents, through what I learned, is that love was conditional. And I carried this throughout my 20s and 30s because there wasn't any relational school. I just acted out based on what I knew how to get love and attention from my parents, from my friends, from my ex-girlfriends. And then until I, met Summer, and through that I've been on a personal development journey. She challenged me with her question that helped me break out through my patterns of the simple question of why? Why did you ask to kiss me? Clarifying the intention rather than playing out old past behaviors. And through that question, I made myself realize, wait a minute, this person's intentional and it's creating safety to allow me to uncover, why did I ask? Why do I want to be in a relationship? And with that safety, this allowed me a space to work through that, because those patterns, the people pleasing patterns, the avoidance of conflict patterns still exist in my body. It's just that now I have a space for that to be seen and work with from a place of cultivating compassion and grace for myself rather than shame, moving away from that shame based motivation to more of, hey, let's take a look at this and just choose a different path. So now I get to relate with others in a different way by working with my nervous system, by working with the parts of myself, by moving away from this place of judging, compartmentalizing myself because, hey, I need to be a certain mask, a certain person to be loved. And what you said, Naomi, is moving to the place of accepting all of me, this wholeness and this integration that comes with I'm okay with me, with where I'm at. And it's so freeing to be able to taste that, where I can come in and just be myself and be accepted for that. So I like to swim in that. I like to steep in that. And that's why I'm here, to relearn all those skills and even building that bridge into my heart, right? Being in touch with my emotions and feelings where, I judge men are not in touch with, or trained to not be in touch with. Whether you're a boy or a girl or a man or a woman, you're a human being with feelings, and feelings exist for a reason, right? And for me to tap into that with this containment within myself, not to be the stupid, well, there's a judge, right there, it's the stupid stoic person, right? Super robotic, or someone that's overwhelmed by their emotions. That I'm thankful that I had this stoicism that I built, and now I get to play in the feminine. And my relationship with you, Summer, teaches me so much to be in touch with my feminine, to be in touch with my emotions, to be in touch with building my intuition. So this is the journey for me to be integrated, to bring both the masculine and feminine within myself. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, go ahead, Naomi.
Yeah, I just want to reflect on a piece of like what we give each other by being here, because I hear you saying that through your relationship with Summer, you can be more in touch with your emotions and understand why they show up. And I was actually working on creating a course yesterday, and I could see you in my mind's eye, Dre, as I was creating the flow of every week's material. I was like, okay, but first we need to let people know where we're going. And I could see all the pieces of the masculine structure that you've modeled for me, where you start a learning session by telling people where we're going, and then reviewing the home play pieces that they did at home, and then bringing in the actual material. But then you want to allow time for discussion and questions and answers. Like, it's not just, I'm the teacher, I show up, I give you all this information, I put it on your lap, and then I leave. It's there's a container here. We do it the same way, which brings ease to the nervous system every time. It lets people know where we're going, creates safety for their learning, creates a dynamic flow, because this is not teaching. I'm handing you information. Now you're left on your own to try to integrate that. It's relational. I give this to you, but then how does it land for you? And what do you want to reflect back to me? And is this information serving you? And how can I make this flow better for you? So that everything we're doing becomes this dynamic of give and take and exchange. It's never just guru and student, or yeah, I don't need more examples. This is a relational exchange between the three of us and between everyone that comes around. And that's where the real wisdom is. You did such a beautiful shout out for me on social media last night. And some people are reflecting back very kind things. And the biggest sense I had in myself is that I don't do this on my own. Like, when I'm in a group with people who come into the relational wisdom school, it's their authenticity, their honesty about their emotions and their experience that brings out my authenticity and my things to share and my gifts and my wisdom. And like, it's never just one of us doing it all, being out in front. It's always how we co-create, whether that's the three of us here or whether it's the people who come in, because that's the magic. And I believe, like, that's the, in the age of information, the age of us being only in our heads and denying emotions, the age of us having to be like the leading expert in XYZ, and then all the people come seeking that wisdom. I just believe strongly it's time to change that paradigm. And the only way to build the future out of the boiling nervousness that's in the world these days is to do it together and start to walk out on a new path where community is restored, but in a new way. Because if I reflect on my past communities, there was kind of a standard you had to hit. There was a thing to strive for. Conflict wasn't talked about. You just had to toe the line. And I think if we're going to do it moving forward, it has to be in a different way, where people can honestly speak for what happens inside of them in the moment, but are also given the tools to do that, and not shut the person on the other end down because we're unconsciously just throwing projections and judgments at the other person, right? And I reflect my past and how I've grown by being here with you two, because I was so avoidant. Any conflict, whatever, I just ran in the other direction, and then you go and you stay in the same cycle for 20 years. And the difference that's been in my life since I've been given some of the tools, like through the conscious communication class, I don't have to run and hide anymore. I have the actual tools to speak out what's inside of me. And just imagine a world where so many people have these tools and have the connection to themselves to speak honestly from their hearts. And we're already seeing that within the container here, right? As people come alive and can do that, their lives are changing, their relationships are changing almost, I want to say, in a magical way. Like it's not even a huge amount of effort if you're just given a few tools and the ability to come from the heart. So I'd like to, have your reflections on that.
Thank you, Naomi. Yeah, I think, as we've learned to struggle, like you said, we can be triggered for minutes, days, years, and maybe centuries as it flows through our family and the behaviors that we copy and mimic. I just wanted to acknowledge Jesse saying, you're not alone. Yeah, we're not alone. That's the key. When we learn together, there's this exponential growth that, we're not alone. And hi, Christine. I'm so glad you're here. Maybe we can pull up her comment. I want to be in relationship today. I realized I'm uncomfortable now in my solitude. I'm not ready to be physically in a group. I don't trust myself. Eye opener. Yeah. And trust is such a big piece, right? All of us, not all of us, but often we're taught to create safety or find safety outside of ourselves. And safety is found within, to how we regulate our own nervous system, how we trust our body's responses, and then how we can translate them into verbal language for other people. Panic and anxiety is really just fear about our place. If we don't know how to belong by being authentic, of course it's going to create anxiety. We're meant to belong. We're meant to be in relationship. We're a relational species. And I always go back to the movie Avatar, in that one scene where they're in the mother tree and they're all linked in this way, moving. We look separate physically, but underneath it all, our nervous system and consciousness is one unit. And we're either always dysregulating each other or regulating each other. It's one or the other. And as Naomi says, it only takes a few adjustments, because our nervous system's like children. They'll cry and be upset for 30 to 90 seconds and they're fine. Our nervous systems are the same as an adult. It's just that we've been taught all of these beliefs, behaviors, thoughts of what we should be, which makes this natural mechanism kind of go on the fritz. But as we're with other people, and this is where the discomfort, because I was with a client yesterday and she's like, oh, well, I've had good and bad experiences with groups. Like, yikes, look out, right? But in a small group, and I forget the woman's name who does the power of 8, where a nervous system can start co-regulating, there is exponential insight, exponential growth, and understanding of who we are as a human species. And it gives us so much room to then let us have our individual differences. And not even that they're differences, they're unique paths that enable me to shine brighter. Without Andre's masculine presence in my world, I couldn't do the work that I'm doing as well. Naomi, you sent me a message. What was it? Oh yes, you'd sewn some pants for me, and you were like, "Okay, thank you. Here's my sewing fee," and I forgot to pay it to you, right? And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, sorry, I'll get you that." And you're like, "No, no, no, no sorries. If there's something that I need, I will ask." And there's such relief for me in my nervous system. And that learning came up in me this morning when I spoke to my daughter, who said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you, mom, blah, blah, blah. It's been so busy." And I just, you know what? I almost had your voice run through me to her. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't add to your stress about how I'm going to respond or not to you. I will let you know if I need something. You can have ease and trust in that. And so the continual learning and the mentoring and being in this space, also knowing that we can be triggered. Sometimes triggers look pretty ugly, but they are moments where our trauma arises to be healed. And smaller ones are easier. Otherwise, we do need people who've practiced a lot that have a bigger nervous system to hold that for others. But we're wired for it. It's an innate inner capacity that we all have. We're remembering it more than we're learning it. And this is why we can't really do it alone. So if you don't want to be alone anymore, if this has been painful either way, it's the struggle, right? Oh, I've been in these groups and it's been so disastrous. Or I've been alone and man, does that feel empty and isolating? There's ways to live in relationship. That's new. Yeah. Sherry, that's beautiful. And Brianna's here too. Yay. Brianna's got a great comment too, Dre. Maybe you can take that one, and because she's talking about shame in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll read it out here. Yeah, thanks, Brianna, for the comments. The weight of aloneness, of shame and secrecy was leading me to feel so stuck. This community and the togetherness and co-creation invited here has created space for me to feel more safe in my own body and more compassion for my own mind and heart. So grateful for this relational wisdom. Yeah, thank you. And as you were both sharing, and I want to comment on Brianna's comment as well. I was like, man, struggling to stay present because there's so much juiciness that I wanted to speak to and tie back to. And I felt overwhelmed of like the amount of wisdom and insight being shared. And I was just like noticing, that's why I took out my notepad here just to note things down as things were being shared. And so now I'm kind of feeling relief where I can just like, okay, breathe this out. First, I just want to name that, like, Summer, you're teaching me so much about being the flow, like the abstract thinking, the intuitive tracking, checking in with what's alive in the moment for the group, right? And I'm kind of like the opposite of that, right? Provide the structure, right? And so I'm learning so much from that polarity. And Naomi, my judgment is that you're both in a way. That you're a translator, a bridge between myself and Summer. That you do see like where I'm coming from with the structure, because I do see that in you, and also see the intuitive flow the Summer emanates with you within you as well. So I just want to name that there's a beautiful harmonious balance here with our three energies. Um, Speaking to Brianna's comment about this nervous system piece, like I'll speak from my own experience. This idea, like, oh man, like I got to feel safe within me, right? I got to feel safe here. Though it can be so difficult when I don't feel safe to begin with within myself, that I'm yearning and grasping on safety with others. And it made sense because I'm co-regulating with my parents, my loved ones, since as a very little baby. And I found in my experience where I started to get to know myself, because I really believe this is all about relationships done differently, is about me knowing myself and sharing myself authentically, accepting me. And when I accept me for all of me, I accept others for all of them. And that heaven on earth is really being with each other, accepting each other despite our differences. So going back to me being in an environment where it feels safe for me to share a vulnerable piece of me that when I share with my parents, they would judge it, criticize it, ignore it, walk away. Oh, I didn't feel safe to share that. Look at me a certain way. Oh, maybe that's not okay. Let's hide that part of myself. But when I can go into an environment where I hear other people sharing vulnerable pieces about themselves and I'm watching and they're not being judged, they're not being shut down, they're being acknowledged, they're being reflected back. It gives me permission to be like, hey, maybe I'll share something about my porn addiction. Or maybe I don't even go that far. I'll share something about my life growing up, what I struggled with. And then I watch the feedback, right? And then, man, when it feels safe, I get that co-regulation. And through that co-regulation, I learn how to regulate myself. It's as if I have evidence that I am worthy. Mirrors, people reflecting back to me how I've shown up for them and how I impacted them. That translates to more self-worth and self-respect for myself that's grounded in experience. I'm not convincing myself. I'm not spiritual bypassing. It's through lived experience. So I've noticed all of this affirmations and magic pills and quick fixes and doing work on my own. It's great to a certain point. Though I am wired for connection, that self-regulation, I believe, is born through co-regulation. And when I have a tribe, my chosen family, where I can just be myself and practice those skills, it gives me so much more confidence to bring that into the world where I might be in spaces where that's not accepted and that's judged. But then I feel safe because I have a family I can fall back to and lean on when I don't. So going back to what you're mentioning, Summer, about that piece of like community, group, co-regulation. Yeah, it's for me, it's a requirement. It's such a requirement. Yeah. Yeah, it takes a village, Carlin. And what was that
Yeah.
comment there,
Okay.
Summer, that you love to share about the village?
Oh, yes. It takes a village to raise a child and a village to heal an adult that wasn't raised in a healthy village in the first place. Yeah. And I do want to acknowledge, because you're talking about the village pieces, and Christine says, when you're alone, you're not responsible for anyone. It's complete freedom. Ah. So here's the thing. You're never responsible for anyone else. That word responsible, last week we talked about the difference between responsible and responsibility, which is the ability to respond in every given moment. But we're not responsible for how anyone else feels. We're only responsible for checking in with ourselves and righting ourselves and then speaking like Naomi did to me. It's okay. I'll let you know what I need. You're not responsible for guessing what I need. Oh, what a relief. And in that, there's freedom because I can choose to be alone and have solitude if I need to recharge myself. And I have freedom to connect when I also need that. To me, that's the ultimate freedom, the sovereignty we have to trust ourselves, others, and source, and that our intuition guides us in the moment, in the present moment, as we're co-creating this experience on planet Earth. Carlin, I keep hearing in my head, it takes a village. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's why you brought that up, Dre. Giselle, what a wonderful listening as I sit in the airport. Oh, cool. You're on your way home. I can't wait to see you. Brianna is responding to Christine. What does she say? I don't feel freedom when I'm alone. So interesting. I feel freedom in myself when the web of connection and love. Oh, that's interesting. I feel freedom in myself within a web of connection and love.
I can speak for maybe both sides of that because I spent many years on my own and independence felt free because it felt like I wasn't responsible to anyone else. I just had to take care of me. And sometimes that was a hard job, but it was just like, yep, I can just be by myself. I don't have to depend on whether you're giving me love or acceptance or anything. I'll just be fine, stiff upper lip kind of thing. But it is lonely and sad a lot of the time because inherently there is something missing. And I think it's that for myself, I had pieces down inside that I was afraid for people to see. I had unresolved pain and I had unresolved things in relationships that meant being by myself was just kind of the safest way. And there just came a time when it wasn't enough. I so desired to be connected that I was willing to do very scary things and reach out to people. And I think if I look back, because I joined the Relational Wisdom School about 1.5 years ago to intern in some pieces and facilitate or lead some pieces. And the primary emotion or thing that has shifted in me since the start, and there have been many, but the primary deep core thing that has shifted has been shame, has been like, am I even good enough for people to see me? Am I even worth anything? Do I matter to people? Can I speak aloud? The most shameful and frightening pieces of what I carry inside. And will people hear them or will they shut me down or turn me away? And I got teary, Andre, when you were speaking earlier about, I'm not even going to remember the piece. Yes, I do. It's about having those mirrors, the people there. If you speak about painful, addictions or protective sides of you or shame that you carry, there was a moment when in our annual women's retreat, the women, about 5 of us women were sitting around the room before breakfast one morning and it just got into more tender, intimate topics of like, marriage and layers of things that are unresolved in our marriage relationships often. And one of the ladies said something and it came so close to a painful belief and experience I had carried that I couldn't hold it in anymore. And I just started bawling in the middle of the room. And those ladies let me speak that such painful belief I had carried about myself that I was unwanted in a marriage and that I could be the only one out there who had ever felt that. And one of the ladies said, "Oh, no, that was me too." And I was like, oh my God, really? Like somebody has felt that pain themselves. And if you would have asked me before, like, do you love yourself, Naomi? I would have said unequivocally, I love myself. I have been here for me. I take care of me. I love myself. But I didn't know that there was that little piece of me that was carrying so much pain that I'd never even been able to contact that part of me and love the most shameful part that was carrying that. And these women, by just simply listening and then reflecting back their own experiences and allowing that thing to be expressed out of my body, where I didn't have to carry it by myself any longer, that was freedom for me. And so, Brianna, when you say that web of love and connection, I don't think I'd ever experienced that until the last 1.5 years, where I am so held by these people and so seen by them that I could say anything and I am safe here. I am safe here. And it doesn't mean nobody will ever not react or, that little ripples of dissonance won't come up between people. But we're free to talk about them too, because that space is created for us to say, oh, when you said that, I felt something just a little icky in my body. I'm not quite sure what's going on. And if that person isn't able to just say, well, what's happening in you, or what is it, or what brought that up? Usually there's somebody else in the group who can ask me that question and hold space for me. And so this idea of, I can't depend on one person either to be that complete web for me of support and safety. Like, it takes a village of people. And then when one falls down, there's 8 to pull them up, but the other 5 who are busy bringing in the food or the, taking care of the children, they don't have to be the ones to pick up the fallen. It's like we all do this together. And together, all the gifts, all the resources, all the energetic resilience and capacity and even, I want to say, effort or service or work, the generative ability of the group come to the fore, and we're simply stronger together. Like there's no other way. And to have experienced that in real time and not have to change myself, like I don't have to pretend here. That is still mind-boggling to me. I still don't quite understand how I got here to a place where I don't have to like people please a little bit or change myself a little bit or show up, all dolled up perfectly or whatever to be just loved on by people. It's astounding.
Yeah. Wow. Naomi, as you were sharing that, I just reflected in the spaces when I'm with men, and when it's set up where it's like, I'm not here to fix, I'm not here to give advice, I'm not here to coddle you, I'm just here to witness you. And a man just shares his pain, what he's been holding, and we're not judging him, we're not fixing him. Wow, such a relief. I've been on the receiving end of that. And you know what I hear from that witness is, it's okay. It's okay. Nothing wrong, nothing right. It's okay.
Yeah.
And boom, wow, does the energy just move. That shame just transforms. As if I'm looking for feedback from these men that I see as my brother or as my father. And they're not judging me. And that is so healing. It just rewires my nervous system, a new way of relating, where vulnerability is no longer this thing to be feared, but to be a way to freedom when it's held in a safe way. And that lands in me so much as you share that. Like, can I just share this? I'm holding on to this. And the reason why I don't share this, because I'm afraid it's going to be used against me. I'm afraid to be judged and criticized or rejected. And that's why I don't share this, because this makes me weak. But when I can just, poof, and these men are like, it's okay. Thank you. Me too. Oh, freeing, Naomi, freeing. And it just makes so much sense in the ways I see it now, where this pathway, this evolution of this place where the end goal is interdependence, right? The place where I can share what's going on for me. And this is my responsibility. And you share what's going on for you, and that's yours. And that's your story. And those are your judgments and projections. But we can meet and work together and clear, right? Clear a charge, work through a trigger together. Because before, without that mindset, being dependent where I had to serve my parents, it meant that, hey, Dre, I need you to do this. I need you to listen to me. Wow. That told me that I'm responsible for your needs. Oh, you make me so angry. You're so disappointing to me, Dre. Ouch. That means I'm responsible for your feelings. So no wonder when I share my feelings to those that are, let's say, uninitiated, that there's this burden, this need to fix it. And sometimes I'm like, hey, bro, I'm just here to share that I'm angry, but I'm not here to look for advice. And I'm actually not looking for you to hold it either. I'm just here to be witnessed. Because I do see some people rushing in, wanting to save me. want to cuddle me. It's all right. No worry. That's not such a big deal. And I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for that. And so I see why I would swing to being independent so much, where I'm like, I'm not responsible for how you feel. You deal with that. I come from a place of, you know what? This is me. unapologetically. And if that triggers you, that's your problem. I can see that. But the invitation here is to move to interdependence where I do know that I make an impact. I do impact you. I'm not responsible for how you feel. I'm not responsible for meeting your needs, but I'm also responsible for how I behave because I know my behavior, my actions do leave an impact on you. Can I care for that? Can I hold that alongside honoring my own feelings and needs at the same time?
Beautiful. We've got lots of comments, and thank you for the conversation going on here. I want to go back down to Christine said, I just had a 1-hour Zoom with an estranged child counselor. I feel so messed up. Oh man. I mean, that's a judgment of yourself. However you're feeling. And I would go far to say, you know what, as a species, we're kind of messed up. You're not alone in that. I know you, Christine, and I love you. And as we go about learning, because I was for a period of time estranged from my own daughter, and it was one of the most excruciatingly painful things I have ever experienced in my life. And that is one of the things that actually led me here. And so it's become the most greatest gift I could have ever imagined. And the universe sends interesting messengers as we open up to receive them. As my daughter exited, Mr. Andre here entered my life and my field. We are wired like a caterpillar in a chrysalis to fly like butterflies. We can't rip open the chrysalis. The caterpillar does not fly. Within us is an evolving remembering of who we are as a spiritual species to relate to ourselves, others, and through that, God, creator, source energy, the field, whatever it is you want to call it, that thing that leaves our heart and that energy where they try to electrically bring us back when we're leaving this plane. It's a real thing. And I don't know what got us to this place of being so shameful. But as we share what's alive us in the moment, and Christine, I know she said it's so much easier for me to just trigger on other people than to express my own emotions. Yeah, that's what we've been taught. But what I know and what we call triggers in the relational wisdom school is two different things. One's a mirror. Oh, something's being brought up in me. Because if someone is reacting in a way that's all over the place and it doesn't actually elicit anything in me, I'm like, oh, let me just allow you to hold space for you to express that and find the hurt that it's expressing. If, however, there's either a range of emotions, one is I just want to lash back, or I have this niggle or discomfort, there's something in me to recognize, something for me to take responsibility for in myself. And that's where we get to communicate and have this relationship with ourselves and what that we like to call the energetic stamp. That's when our nervous systems have been overloaded from what we might call trauma. Something was too big for us to handle. And the adults who are supposed to have the nervous system capacity, but most of us are running around in very younger states of nervous system development, we're truncated. And so there's these little parts of us, like Naomi was saying, oh, in that women's group, there was this thing that just touched on this pain point that I didn't even know was there. And then it was held and released. Therefore, it's no longer a pain that's stuck, this stamp in this body. This nervous system experience has been able to go full circle and complete its cycle. And there's so many of us because I believe it's a collective trauma. We're collectively miswired so that we know that we can experience this ourselves, but also, as Dre said, in the mirrors of others. And then there's this exponential recognition, this instantaneous, what I call inner resonant truth, this nervous system learning, not the head learning about what I should say. It's because it's happening in my body now, this energetic reality. It's just a matter of how do I learn to translate that in a way that's life-giving versus what we've been taught to call triggering or harmful to others. And this goes back to, Brianna, you're talking about, vulnerability without boundaries is oversharing. Yeah, you've got to read the field. It's not just you, like Andre was saying, unbridled expression. No, that's harmful. It's that relationship. It means it's back and forth. Okay, I present part of myself. How does this energy meet this energy? It's physics. All electromagnetic fields interact with every other. And so if you're just talking about two people, whether it's a spouse, Andre and me, for example, there's a third field that's created. And in a family system, it's all sorts of fields interacting with each other. And this is why, as we shift our own perceptual reality, one field, mine, shifts everybody else's. And this is why we only have to be responsible for ourselves. Entire family systems can shift from one person. I know Giselle's on this call. She's had that experience. Carlin, that might support you a little bit. You've got a partner whose field is a little bit different on the family side. There is I'm being called to talk about, there's a gentleman, his name, actually was Dr. Wise, and he brought families together. And they always say, you know what, there's the black sheep in the family, and you got the family tree and the branch, and everyone just looks at the branch and goes, what's the problem with that particular branch, that black sheep, blah, blah, blah. Well, he says, well, let's look at the tree, and let's look at the roots. And what he does is he brings families together, like all of them, a different type of family reunion, not the one where you're triggered, where you're keeping your secrets and your shame and you go back to that childhood self of feeling so awkward. But where time stands still, you're together for 36 hours and you start to do the inner work together. Even the small children don't want to work because they feel the field shifting. And there's something to the effect of getting out of what I might call our rat race, the time-based pressure cooker that most of us are in. And as Naomi was saying a little bit earlier, and that's coming back and alive in me, is all the things that we think we should do, the education, the way we're supposed to raise our family and how much we're supposed to work, even if we get out of the fear-based thinking of what we should be doing and pay attention to our nervous system, magical opportunities present themselves for support. And in community, support looks like so many things: food and nervous system, and let me take care of your child, and all of these different things. When we become in relationship with each other, we don't have to have this. I don't even know how we came up with this concept. These individual houses where our children leave when they're 18 years old, where everyone has a lawnmower, everyone has their own Wi-Fi. Like, it's so expensive, and then it's so draining, and then our nervous system, and we wonder why people respond, because we're not at ease. But as we keep sharing, and again, vulnerability, while paying attention to the other person in front of us and how they're responding, so we can also care for them, that's when the magic happens. So curious, we have even more comments. Andre and Naomi, what your reflection is from that too.
You want to take this one, Naomi?
No, actually, I was just absorbing it. So if you feel you have something alive to speak, please. please go ahead.
I know.
Oh,
I
I see
noticed
one
there's a
thing.
part of
Oh,
me. Yeah, go ahead.
I just noticed Christine. She just responded because she just said, "Holy how I had that trigger on you, Summer, and I was screaming about my childhood." Yes, you sure did. And and you said some things about me, and you know what? I knew it wasn't about me because I could feel that, right? Like we all have that. And thank you for acknowledging that and being able to just scream. Yeah, some of our childhoods were less than ideal. Horrific. And so I just want to say thank you, Christine. And yeah, even we can just acknowledge, wow, yeah, I had that trigger. Yes, we all do. We're human. We're human. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to speak to that comment that Carmen shared that tied to Naomi and her expression of the support that she received. And it's so key, right? About who am I associating with? And what Carmen says, what scares me is which village my partner picks. My village, when I bring hurt forward, empathize, and don't judge. Her village demonizes and ostracizes, and the judgment comes back to me. Yeah, so it's like, am I in a space where like I get to see myself, right? Versus do I need to contort myself to be someone that I'm not to receive their love? A simple idea of like sharing something vulnerable and it's being used against me, right? Weaponized or something. And it's like, man, it just goes back to the space where I'm so grateful to be in a space to curate who I get to associate or invest my time with, that it's my choice, right? That I have a choice in how much time I spend with my mom and dad, or my brother and sister. I love them 100%, though I also gauge how much time I want to be with them, right? Because I got to say, like, for me, and I'm not saying this is them, I want to be with people that can see their judgments, own their stories, take responsibility. For me, I always say heaven on earth starts with every man and woman taking responsibility for their thoughts, feelings, actions, and outcomes. That's it. Sounds simple, but challenging at times when I'm in this place of hurt, right? I'm in pain and I can't really hear you. My ears are shut down. I want you to hear me instead. But I have that awareness so that when I'm coming in with that piece of vulnerability that Brianna was sharing, it doesn't come in with a loaded bomb. Because there's an energy, there's a consciousness behind my vulnerability. The difference between, hey, I need you to fix this, or it's your fault, or hey, I'm revealing something tender in me, something hurting in me, and I just wanted to be seen. And there's a different consciousness with that where I find it's not much about the mechanics, but the practice. The nuance of like, how much hurt and pain am I carrying? And if there's a full bucket, I have no space for empathy, even for myself. So, what can I do to self connect with myself, to regulate, to take care of myself, to paint, to go to the gym, do things where it brings that appreciation, love back to me, or even talking to Naomi or Summer, someone that is not involved with that, where I can help move that energy and be seen and be heard in that space. And when I can, then I can go to that person that I'm triggered with, and there's less charge. There's less weight. I'm not faking it. I'm not being a stoic around it because it's felt, right? I'm disconnected when I'm trying to hold that in or I'm staring it. I'm using conscious communication, but for some reason I'm extremely frustrated and resentful. And all of a sudden they're like, you're doing that conscious communication thing again. Yeah, it doesn't land. It's because I'm bringing hurt and pain with that. And so that's the consciousness piece where it calls me to help clean that and be in a village that helps me clean that with me. And Summer, you mentioned about that. There's a house, right? Everybody has a lawnmower. Everybody has a TV. My theory, my hypothesis is that's capitalism. That's greed. That's money. And so moving away from that, I want to bring it to relationship that because of these households, we're expecting and placing the responsibility of the village on one person, our partner, to be everything for us. Wow. That's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. I want to tie into something you were saying because, and what Brianna was saying about boundaries and vulnerability, right? Some people think being triggered on somebody is vulnerability. There's a point in time we have to start recognizing, oh, I have this niggle, these uncomfortable things. How do I look within myself? Because that means there's something I'm uncomfortable with myself about. Because there's always a mirror. And there's a book called Getting to Zero by Jason Gaddis, and he put the triggers, a scale for the triggers from 0 to 10. And I remember as Dre was doing some of his work and his men's work, a lot of people think, well, I went from 0 to 10, as people, all of a sudden I'm triggered. Where did that come from? We don't actually go from 0 to 10. It's just that our culture has taught us to repress, deny, avoid, people please, positive think our way out of things that we're feeling, and it doesn't work. So as it goes from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, we're able to stuff it under the rug a little bit until someone who triggers us causes us to realize there's something there. But our culture seems to think it's that person. Oh, it's that person who triggered me. They're the problem. Actually, they're the profound gift for you to start looking within. Because they're really not the cause. They're just the stimulus and the mirror and the reminder of something that's been long locked inside. We just haven't been really given the skills or the tools to move it within us. And this is part of our work. It's not communication verbally. It's how do we hear what our body is saying? The emotional, the energetic, the ancestral patterns that actually don't have a verbal language. And how can we trust our body to simply feel? Because there's some new stuff that's coming out with children. You might have seen of some of those Instagram reels where this child's having a freak out, a trigger, and the parent just sits with them, co-regulates, breathes, and it moves in 30 to 90 seconds. With adults, it's a little more complicated because we have this feeling and then it's like instant, we go into a thought or a judgment. Oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And then we're angry. And so there's a little more unwiring and unlearning to do, deprogramming ourselves so we can get back to this innate ability that's born in us and allow it to do its own thing. It's so interesting because in coaching and all of these things we're taught we have to follow this protocol. I have this 4-step guideline that'll make me. It's actually in the remembering with other people that we get to understand this innate inner technology that's born through the moment of our relationships. And this is what I'm so excited about and what these two people here teach me every single day. And my life is so exponentially magical. I feel nourished and fed in a spiritual, emotional, financial way that I didn't even know existed here in this plane. But it is possible. I'm telling you, it's possible. Anyways, inviting both of your reflections, and we've got more chats coming in, which is amazing.
I do want to reflect on just one piece because I know one thing, and that's I'm not here because I'm a perfect person in all my relationships. And that's a false standard. Like, we somehow have this idea someday I'm going to have it all figured out, and then there won't be differences or disagreements or conflict, and then there won't be things happening in my life. And it's such a fallacy. Like we have some idea that there will be a place where there will never be any ripples of difficulty in our life. But what's so important is that when you have a sounding board, when you have a community, you can come back and somebody can hold your hand. And you guys do that for me, and other women in the group do that for me, and say, let's go below the surface. Let's dive into what's inside of you and let it speak to us. That's the inner technology that your body holds the wisdom. My body knows what's going on inside of me, and it will speak if I will listen. If I'm too scared to listen, if it feels unsafe, then somebody can hold my hand and go into that with me. And then I have this clear knowing and alignment with, I'm going to say, divine wisdom already inbuilt into my body. And I can take that clarity and that divine wisdom back out into my relationship, and I can see and hear the other person clearly, and I can be with them. And when I'm really with them, then I can say, oh, I noticed your eye just twitched. I noticed an emotion just washed over your face. What was that? And suddenly I'm not only attuned to me and to the, oh no, I'm feeling unsafe because that person just had an emotion and now I think I'm going to be rejected and blah, blah, and go into the cycle of the stories that were my cycles for years. Now I'm just, oh, I'm just with you in this moment. And now I'm noticing things that are going on in your body. I'm noticing your emotions. And sometimes even I'm getting like an intuitive sense of something that's going on. And if I'm honest enough to, and brave enough to ask the person, is this what's happening? They feel like they can be themselves. They can talk about what's inside them, and they can drop their judgments of me and what they think I'm good or bad at, and how, obviously my mom doesn't, if it's my daughter speaking to me, well, my mom doesn't love me because she's not showing up in this way. Well, if she can tell me what she's really feeling and I can really hear her, maybe because somebody held space for me first and I got back in touch with my heart and my needs and my pain. Now I can really be with her and we can explore that together. And I'm neutral. I'm an open space of listening and being really present with her. And that changes our relationship. And we just do it over and over again for the rest of our lives. So there's never any in my head, I have you all figured out and I have our relationship all figured out. So now everything's going to be clear and I'll never get confused and feel unsafe again. I don't think we're ever going to arrive there. But each time we practice getting clear on the inside, maybe by somebody's presence who can be with us to get clear, we take the clarity and safety back out to the other relationship. We provide it for them, and their body responds to it with more clarity too. And that's how we have the impact and the change. It's not, I've arrived, so now I teach you how to arrive. It's, I'm here with you, you're here with me. Look, I can't even put words to the sense I have, the nuclear reaction, the chain of events that presence and really being with each other can set off is astronomical. It will blow your mind if we can really be with each other and let our bodies tell us what's really going on. I heard Christine's comment, I'm so messed up, and I so relate, Christine. And I think the whole world has a lot of these feelings. And the truth is, okay, the world is in a messy condition and we feel messy because we don't know how to get down. So where's somebody who can hold my hand to go down where it feels messy until it feels clear again? And then I can trust myself a little more and understand that what seemed so messed up in me was actually just places where I couldn't hold my own truth, places where I wasn't allowed to feel, places where nobody could ever sit with me before. And now if I can feel into some of those a bit and they can speak back to me, I start to grow this capacity to be with myself. Now I can be with you and I can ask you what's really happening for you instead of getting mad at you and yelling at you and pushing you away. All of which I've done. It's just being present.
Said that so beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And Christine, why would you not want to love and adore Naomi Roszak?
Oh, she has her things, believe you me.
And I love that reality check, Naomi, as we start to bring this to a close, that, the invitation of doing this work is it is a lifelong practice. For me, I'm a lifer. I've seen the gifts and the fruits of this inner work, the inner technology with men's work, with relational work. I'm like, wow. And the invitation for me is like 1% a day. Can I repair quicker than before? I still get triggered. I still judge. Can I catch it? Can I name it? Can I choose a different way of relating? Right? Realizing I have a well grooved path of avoiding conflict. Can I face it and build that new pathway towards that? And so it is a practice, a lifelong practice. And just want to note Jesse's comment there about the village piece. I resonate with your comment there, Jesse, about being in a village where it's judgmental and have to move away from that village. I had the same journey. It kind of just reminds me of like the evolution of my inner work of, well, part of my blood family had to get out of toxic environments with my drinking buddies to find myself, to get rooted, and then go back into community. And now the people that relate to me where I'm at are relating to me who I am now, right? It's kind of like they're liking me, resonating with who I am at my core, not who I was in the past. So it's a hero's journey, an initiation piece there. So as we bring this to a close, I don't want to check in with you, Summer and Naomi, if you have any final comments.
Maybe just one, and that is there's a saying that everything in the present requires nothing of the past. And so sometimes we reflect on our past and we ruminate and we get stuck in our head when we can be in front of one other person who can be present to us, like Naomi said, "Oh, I noticed you're furrowing your brows," or an emotion just washed over your face. Everything that happened in the past is present right now. And as we can start to trust and honor what's happening for us, especially in the present moment, and speak it out loud, it releases this tension and this shame from our field. And it creates a new path moving forward so we don't carry the past into our future. That's all I want to say.
Beautiful. And so as we bring this to a close, I want to make a mention that you can follow us. We have a Facebook group called Relational Wisdom. And there you'll get access to our insights that we share, our personal shares, as well as free workshops we do every month and our upcoming offerings in this space. And also, speaking to Amber, I just want to bring it up. You love these lives. Great. And that we should have a YouTube channel. Well, we do. We do have a YouTube channel. It's at Relational Wisdom School. And this is being live streamed there as well. And there's a whole bunch of other videos there as well. So you can check us out on both. Join the group, like and subscribe to the channel. Anything else as before we close out?
We do have Conscious Communication Level 1 starting in March. There's lots of courses upcoming. Naomi?
Yeah, and the topic for the month in the Relational Wisdom Facebook group is relationships done differently. So we'll be talking more about this all month long. So if you're into it, that's the place to go deeper into the conversation.
Yeah, and I do want to say too, Sherry Cameron is on this call. She and I have a workshop for women live in Edmonton on February 28th. It's Saturday. To get more familiar with your saboteurs, conscious communication, and what we call inside out, which is that ability to start trusting yourself in your inner world. So if you're available February 28th, come join us for that.
Beautiful. Rich offerings. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you next week, Friday, 12 p.m. Mountain. Ciao.